and then we'll kick off. So the problem that we are going to do today is basically based on flex. And what I mean with flex is just like we'll do this assignment as shown. So I'll use different images. So these are not the right images that I want to use. So one of the things that we take into consideration, ama ukiangalia anything always on a page, you always think about it as like let's say as a div. So that's one of the factors. So for the sake of time and also working on some stuff and also to remind ourselves, I will have one section for this all container. So it depends on you how you want to subdivide sections of your page. So for this one, I'll have the first container or the first div as this all. So the second div that I will have is inside this first div, which will be this image. So the Kwana E image. So I will put it as part of its own, as a section of its own. The other thing that I want to do is take all what is in the middle as a section, and then take all what is in the end as a section. And then the next thing that I will do for this first section, so I'll have the first section, I'll have the second so the second section, which is inside upper nitakuwa hii, which I'll have this one, which this one doesn't have anything else, so itakuwa tu moja. But when you see this second one, it will have two items. So what I will do with this other section is subdivide this section to have this section and have this section. For this other one, for these items, because it is just like, I can decide to divide it as one or as two sections, but I can also decide it to be one section, but now have different items in different sections. The same with this other one. I can decide not to subdivide, but use just the images to be part of it. But for me, for the images, so that nikiweza kuweka 50% for this other one, so that I get the exact size, I will subdivide it to 3. So I currently don't have anything to, I don't know which item I will use to draw, but I'll just use the code to describe this. So the first thing, well, let me create an index.html file. So for this index.html, waja ni pull, okay, to be visible. I hope this one is visible enough. So what I'll do is, first of all, have the HTML tag. We have the HTML tag. I'll have let me just use that space. So, but I wanted to make it is it called break or something like that? Line. So I just wanted to use tabs, but for this one I'll use, so I'll have the head as normal too, very normal. And then inside the head we have title, which is normal, flexbox learning. And then this one now I'll have to reduce the speed because, and then we have the body, which is vital. So one of the things that we'll do is so tunakuja kwa body now. What we want to do is to have the first div or the first section. So what we'll do to take the first section, which is div, which is the main or the body, but for now we'll use the div one. And then one thing that I want to create simultaneously is styles.css. So for this first div, what I'll use is, I'll just call it container, or the final, like the first container, and then I will add their CSS here. So I want to go simultaneous. And then for this container, I'll just write something as I am container, just to see the first section. Hii yote kabisa, hii box mzima. So this one, we will have this, and then what I will do is run this. So I don't know, run this. Yeah. So I'll just run this here. So as you look, so I am the flex container. One of the things that I wanted is, okay, no problem. So that's, sa wachana nayo, wachana hii siasa mingi. Let me just use the which is okay. So I want to change to see kama ita change, which definitely needs a restart. So that's okay. Let me just run the way it is for now. So the next thing that I will do is maybe I can have my own CSS here. So the next thing is to have this section. So the second thing is to have the 3 sections. So the first section, which is like this, is the second section, the third section. So I'll do 3 divs. So the 3 divs will be as follows. So I'll have 3 divs. So the first one is the first div. I have the second div, and I have the third div. So for this one, just I'll have their own CSS, which is class name. I'll use it container first. I'll put this other one container second, because I don't want to remember the names of. So second, and then the container third. So the third container, or the third sub container. Let me just say that. So we'll have another CSS for this first. We'll have another CSS for the second one, and then we'll have the fourth CSS, this other one. So this one will be the first CSS, the second CSS, and the third CSS. What we want to do is just like, I'll put everybody height. So this one, for the first one, height is full. I'll put 100 view height, and then for this second one, I'll just put height of 20 view height. The same with these other containers, because nataka ikuwe the same height. So let me take 40. So I have 3 sections, but for now, hautaona hizo sections. So what I can use to differentiate them is background color. So I can use background color for this one as this. The second background color as aqua, and then the third background color to be maybe something like violet, something like that. So if I refresh, okay, I don't know why I can't refresh. Okay, let me see if I can have something like heading 1, second, something like that. Okay, no problem. I don't know why haichanipea hiyo background color. Class sorry, I have not yet imported. I'm wondering why it's not changing. So my bad, I have not imported style CSS. So that's, I'll use link, which is it the href, which will be slash, no, sorry, style.css, no, and then link. So again, so I can just do very quick link CSS to HTML. I think I've put it in a wrong manner, something like that. Link. So I think what I'm missing is this one. So I'm just missing this relationship here to be CSS. So as you can see, we have 3 sections, which we have the first one as the color, this, and everyone has an height of 20 few height, so it's almost the same. So good. The next thing that we are going to do is, first of all, tunaangalia like this section. Do we want to be like this? You just come here and look into what we have. Like, okay, we don't want to be that way. So we want it to be in this direction. So in this direction. So if that's what you want, is if we go flex direction here, I'm a flex box, or if we want to do flex box, I think there was a code that describes us for flex. So one of the things it will say here is, let me just write flex box. I don't want to be, so with flex box, I don't know, I wanted the one that describes, so just give me a minute, I find the correct, yeah. So the first thing that I see here is there's flex, so there's the container, the parent, display flex. So you can display it as flex. And then one of the things that will take precedence is flex direction that is default is raw. So if we turn this container, our container or our main container as flex, it will define it as well. So unaenda kwa CSS, what you'll do for it will be flex, and then you will display flex. So if we refresh, it has displayed, but it has disappeared. So I don't know. Let me add a width of 100 few width. Imepotea hii. I don't know why. So display flex, let me have some content here as content 1, content 2, content 3. Yeah, so for display, it won't show unless you have determined any content inside it. So right now, what we are trying to build is to have this section. So what we are building is have 3 sections. So this is what the first section, the second section, and the third section. So we have the 3 sections, but differentiated by color. So another thing that I want to do is I want to send this item. So nataka ikuje kwa sender. So the default, I can say either I can say here, if I just wonder, I may not say this with is 100, but it won't affect anything. But I might say here flex direction to be raw. But now it is a default. Ukishaweka kitu flex, it's a default, it's a raw. It's flex direction raw. Unless I want to change it to column. So if I want to change it to column, then you can see that it's going downwards as a column. So that's why I am leaving it as flex direction to be raw, because what we are trying to achieve here is in a row. You will use, for the column, we will come and use column for these 2 items because they are in a column. So when we read there, I'll just show you. So the first thing, I want to display these items in kwa katikati hapa. So what I'll do is I'll just put I'll justify the content to center, which it will take them to the center. So justifying content, I like people to read about that. So when you read more about the flex boxes, you read about the display, the order, the direction, the wrap if it's a flex wrap. I'll not use flex wrap for now. So flex wrap is just like try to fit things in either in one line or to put things onto multiple lines. Like kama uko na cards kama 20 hapa, if you put all of them 20, it will be small. So using a flex wrap for wrap itachukua like maximum yenye itachukua, and then the other ones it will put in the second line. There is the flex flow, something like that, flex spaces, and then there is align. I wanted the one for align. So there is the align self, aligning single item. There is align items. So there is align items. What I want is the align items align things in a vertical axis or a cross axis. So for instance, if you aligning the items to flex start, it align ukochu. So let me not start with justify content first of all. Let me start with flex. So if I decide to say I align items in a flex box, I can say flex end, which means that kila kitu itaenda at the bottom. So everything will go at the bottom, as you can see. I can decide to be flex start. So in vertical, I think in vertical. So align items in a flex, in display align items itaweka fitu on top. But for now, what we want is to bring them to the center. So if you bring like this, it will be on the center. The next thing that you will learn, I am sharing this on the group chat. So the next thing that we will learn is about justify content or align content. So there is align content, but I want us to go for I think justify. I don't know why justify. Yes, okay, justify content. So for justify content, there is flex start, flex end, center, depending on what we want to see. Like, what do we want to see? So, but for now, what I want for us is to use justify center. Yeah. So we can justify content to center. So we will have these items in center. So your take on center. You can decide to say, okay, I just don't want to justify things. I just want to justify them space between or space around. Maybe space around. So justify content, space around. So as you can see, if you make changes, items will be spaced around. So we can decide to make use of that space around. So depending on what you want to achieve. So for this part, what we have done currently is some people have joined. Okay. So what we have done is to define our first section, which is a display. We have aligned these items to center. We have justified this content to center. So we have justified this content to space in between. Space around. So there will be space between the items, like around the items. So the second thing is I want to take 3 images. So I will use the previous downloaded images. So I'll go to downloads. I'll rename this image to maybe, let me use one. I think I'll need 3 images. So let's rename it as 2 as 3 images 4. So I'll take this one. I'll take these 3 items. I'll copy them, and then I'll put them. Nitaweka hapa. So I'll just put them here. I won't be bothered about when. Yeah. So I'll just put them under here. So the next thing that we want is, I want to substitute. I want to do the first column. So, which is, I wanted to style this first column. So how should I style that? So right now, I don't still need the color thing. So what I want is to put image inside this container first. So what I'll do here on the container first, I'll use the href. Source will be / let me use this the fourth one. I don't know why I want to use this fourth one, and just put kitu kama halt is equals to first image or something like that. So if I refresh this, I'll have this image here. So for that case, this image takes its shape. So the current thing that we are going to do is to make sure that our image has an height and a width, like ndio iingiane na ile width yetu. There are many ways to do that, but for now, what I will do is use it what is symbol. So I'll use height, which the height I want is, because this height yenye nimetumia hapa ni 40, I'll just use 40 view. I'll just view height. So just make use of that. 40. Is it 40 view height? I don't know. Is it 40? I'm 100 view height. I guess ni 100 for that item. Kitu kama hiyo. I don't know why. Let me see. Let me now debug this. I'll just use tatumia hapa. So container first. So I'll just look into this. Oh, inachukua kama px. So it takes as a px. So this one, let me just check something small. I paste one view. So I wanted to scale the image based on the view height. So model my slider. So the only thing that I'll do is have it as a CSS. To be sincere, is to have it as a CSS. So I'll just remove this because it's inachukua kama, it's taking it as a pixels. So I'll add its own CSS here, which is container first img, which I'll put the height to be 40 view height. So let me see how that turns about. You see, so imekuwa that size. So the next thing with our image here, let me just take our example. So we have this image size based on that, but right now tuko na padding in between, but we don't care about that. The next thing that we care is, what I want is every item here to take 30% of the page. So equate 30, 30, 30. Or I'll make use of this first one will take, because unaiangalia, sometimes when you are given designs, you can look into the percentages, the width, things like that. But right now, look at the ratio. But for now, tutatumia tu macho kuangalia hapa, tuseme we just need 30%, maybe 25%, 20% for the end one, and then maybe 50% for this first one. So what we'll do is we'll put width for the image, not width for the image. So we'll just put the width for this other one to be 30 view width. Yeah. So tachukua 30% of it. We can put the third one to also take 30%. Not the third one. So the third one to take 30%, and then this one to take, let's say 40%. Kitu kama ama hii ni 20, because I think it's small. So yeah. So it takes almost all the items. Ama all your center. So the next thing that we can do is the second part, which is this part. But nataka hii ikuwe ya mwisho. Nataka to handle the third part. The third part has 2 items. So it has 2 images. So you can decide to go in many ways. Either weke inside that div. So for the third part, you will either do 2 images with source, maybe slash the third one, and then have these images. Is it 2? Yeah. so having those in the third section. So tuko na hii itapotelea huko, so itapotelea huko juu what is there is it's displaying. So what we will do is, first of all, make use of first of all, for this one we will do a display to flex, and then after doing flex, so we refresh. So tukifanya kama flex, what it will definitely take as the initial, let me make sure we are still here, it will take it as a display flex direction. Its direction is what can I say, iko kwa row. So what we can do is make the flex direction now to be column, just to accommodate, to make sure that imeka on this section. So you will get it as this section. The next thing is, let's have the height of the images. So tunasema any container, the third one, any image that is there, let's make its height to 20 view height, and then maybe make the width, so we'll make the width as this 20 view width, but for the height we'll make 20 so that itoshane. So unaona venye imetoshana, but the image ratio haifanani kidogo, so but that's okay. So that's the third part. You have done probably some part. Tutakuja kufanya clean up ya perfection baadaye, but the concept of display flex and so on is what we are trying to explain. So the third part that we'll do is, we have this first item called the Dimpy Comments Women Top with Jacket. So what we'll do is, the second part will have items, which is, tutaassume ya kwanza ni heading 3, so we'll assume it is heading 3, which we will do it as maybe Dimpy Comments. Dimpy Comments show women dresses. This second part ya price tutachukua it bado kama heading 3, so tutaandika price, which is $5.99, and then tutakuwa na paragraph hapa. So this paragraph hapa, I will just generate lorepsum, so just generate the content here, tani copy kitu tu hapa, teka some contents tu hapa kidogo. The next thing, hii ni mingi, content ni mingi. So the next thing we will do is have this other content, so hii itaweza kuwa hurry up now over, kitu kama hiyo. So inaweza kuwa heading 5 ama 6, because I think you're heading ni kidogo. So hurry up while over is still there, and hurry up while over. And then there's this part of 2 days. I wanted Potter to do that for now, so I'll just end up with the art to cut. I think the hiyo ikue a pattern, hard to cut. So we have our content. Tukifanyia hivi, we have that content, but hatujatumia kama display, so hatujatumia kama flex. So we have put like that. So one thing that we want here is to put it as a display. So what we'll do is, for this second part, or the second part, what we'll do is, we'll do display, which is flex. Ita change hizi vitu saizi kwa flex direction row. You see how it has changed. So what we want is flex direction, which is a column, so that it, alafu sunaona venye at least in a separation, and then we can justify this content to be, let's probably say justify content, is it justify content or align items? Yeah, it's justify content, space between, kitu kama hiyo. space between. So yeah. So ina fill all the items because it is that space between. So you can decide like uh, something like container second pattern ikuwe na width of maybe 10 few width, kitu kama hiyo. I think itaonyesha kitu kidogo tu kama hiyo, like yeah. And then maybe decide color to be green. Maybe have some padding, maybe 2px as padding, maybe border box ama border radius of 4px, yeah, something like that. So I did color, but I wanted background color of green, and then the text color obvious to be white, which is a good design. And then you have a padding of maybe, let's say 5px, so at least ionekane, and then border 0. I just want to remove that border. Yeah, so most of it right now, what we have done is just to use different flex direction for different items. So one of the things tunaweza change hapa ni kuweka some padding for these images. So for the CSS of images, we can use padding to maybe 4px and see what is going on. So in our channel space, what another thing that we can use is I don't know. The other one is to have padding across this and then have maybe border. So for the all container ile ya juu, this one, not this one, yeah, steka ikwe border, so I'll just border solid 1px solid. So hii itakuwa na border, but sasa hiyo imefanya ikue hiyo yote, so nataka kitu kidogo kwa hii. So if I wanted this small part, then I'll just decide to have kitoa hii height. If I remove height, itakuwa kwa katikati, itakuwa hapo juu. Yeah, so but one of the things that I can do is make the body height to be 100 view height. So that's it. And then align self. Yeah. So hii inakataa. Okay. Let's see. Kuna venye inakataa. Sawa, wacha tu. There is a way that I wanted to do. So that's one of the things najaribu kustruggle kufanya. So one of the things that I wanted is to have this as so. Let me just finish this height so itaenda juu, so all the way. Let me just, there's something I want to do. Let me try something. Justify content. Just ask me. Ndo hiyo. Yeah. Sawa. Yes. Kuna mtu ameongea. Okay. So one thing that I want, okay. Yes. kuna mahali niliona kutumia cup. So I guess cup is used in Crete, yeah? I think Crete cup. That's what I know. Yeah, this is a Crete cup yenye mimi najua. Using a Crete cup. So that's what I know, but cup in flex. So one of the things that people need to know is, like, when it comes to aligning these ideas, so the cup property defines the size of the cup between the rows and between the columns of the flex. Oh, I didn't know. Creed or so it's used for pot. So let me see. I haven't learned about this. So row cup, a cup defines the size of the cup between the rows and the column. I have not used this. Probably tajaribu tu. So create container set column. So yeah, sorry. Genuine hapa. So for this one, wacha ni explain what I did for this. So what I've done is just like, because what I want here is when I do, what can I say? Like when I put a border here as 1px solid, something like that, inaingia hii peke yake. So it doesn't take the whole page, you see. So one of the things is to make sure that our body here is also as a flex. So inakuwa flex. So ikiwa flex, you display flex, but to be fair, for these other things, you display it in a column section. So ikuwe in this column, not across like this. And then the third thing about the body is just have the height to be 100 to make sure kwamba imeenda tangu juu mpaka chini. And then every items or content yenye ikuwe centered. So ikuwe on this center. So it will take this one div as a center. So the next thing for this container display flex, justify content space around, align item center. We have a border, but also let's add a padding of around 10px so that kukuwe na some padding. What we wanted to define that padding is this section. This section, kuna section yenye iko white after this card. So what we'll do is just have that maybe as 10. Kitu kama 10, I think iko sawa. Or I can switch it to put 20. I think there's something that I'll just define here. You switch it to 20, not bad, because this one has an influence where we added padding for this. So that's most of the things that we wanted to see, is if people can use different flex items to justify the work that we have been doing by defining this div. So let me just check. So I think that's what we wanted to define for today, for someone to try to use flex and this, like display flex, for their styling. So what we are looking into is not perfection, but just people to kuchua mse amechua kitu, because if you show like this one, it's not exactly what is here, but it is definitely something that defines the concepts that we want to learn for now. It's not about making it as perfect, but if you make it as perfect as it is, it's well and good, you see. Yeah. So I can welcome questions. Yeah. So I can welcome questions. Yeah.